Live, we're going live, we're going live. You're live. What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV, coming to you live on Sunday evening, shortly after the news breaks that the NFL is full steam ahead, going ahead with the new league year at noon on Monday. Franchise tags are done, negotiating window opens, free agency is set to begin on Wednesday, as per usual. Pretty incredible given the backdrop nationally and civically that we find ourselves in, but I kind of understand the NFL's thinking. Most of the work can be done remotely. I know a lot of people have wondered about physicals and things of that nature. Pretty much every year during the legal tampering window, deals are agreed to almost instantaneously because a lot of that groundwork gets laid during the combine. But then everything becomes a pending physical situation, which I think will just extend now past the start of free agency for quite a little bit. But for the most part, the NFL proceeding as usual when it comes to free agency. Now, obviously, the draft is going to be a different animal. The CDC putting out new suggested guidelines earlier this evening, just a little while ago, basically prohibiting gatherings of more than 50 people. Which would clearly put a damper on any potential gatherings in Vegas for a draft. I do think the draft will still happen on April 23rd and throughout that weekend. I don't know what kind of shape it's going to take. I don't know how they'll go about producing it. Most likely it'll be a studio show driven / broadcast / internet thing. But I doubt the draft gets pushed back. I do think it'll take place. I don't think it'll be a physical event. So with that said, hello to everybody in the comments section. Good to see you all on a Sunday evening. Always fun to talk some Packers on the weekend. I'm sorry I missed you guys on Friday. Things were a little hectic around LiveX. I'll be back there tomorrow. I'll probably be in and out of the studio sporadically while the coronavirus precautions and storyline kind of drives itself through the country and or New York City. Things are changing rapidly here in the city, and I'm not quite sure how often I'll be going into the city, how often I'll be staying home. But I'll be doing, hopefully, chats every day for you guys because, hell, what more is there to do rather than talk some football when all the sports is off and all we can do is sit on the internet and socially distance ourselves from each other. But we don't have to distance ourselves from Packers chat. Daniel, I wish I knew the answer to that. Isn't it a disadvantage to know who Goody likes and who the Packers are targeting? How does that information come out? I don't know if it's a disadvantage. I mean, we knew last year during the combine that they were going to target Preston and Zadarius Smith, and then they signed them. I mean, I don't think it's – here's a little secret for you. I don't know if it's the secret, but most of the people working in the NFL, especially on the personnel side, they all know each other. Guys, coaches on other teams, personnel people, etc. It's not so much that – they're blatantly going and telling other teams, hey, we're targeting this guy, whatever. But for the most part, guys have a pretty good idea of who their friends like and or who their opponents are targeting. Look no further than Brian Gutekunst last year when he got pushback about trading up for Darnell Savage. I know there was a lot of pushback in the media. Gil Brandt made waves with a tweet shortly after that trade up was made. And Brian said at the podium, I know for a fact that he wouldn't have been there if I would have stayed where I was instead of trading up for him. That's because he knows people on other teams and word gets around. It's a very small community. And so when reporters say, the Packers are going to have interest in so-and-so, ultimately, more often than not always, but more often than not, that's an agent who has told a reporter that he's had conversations with a team. It's not always the case, but more often than not. Nathan, thank you so much for the super chat. I tried to find an email for Dr. Samkon Gatto for coronavirus advice. Do you have connections to get a hold of him? Packers fans need the word from Gatto. Nathan, that's a really good idea. I will endeavor to find a contact point for Dr. Gatto because goodness knows the world needs him now more than ever. Is Packerman okay? Kyle Packerman is resting. He is all right. He is quarantined inside of LiveX studio in Midtown Manhattan. He's okay. I will give you a full update and a proof of life tomorrow afternoon. Chris, what's up, man? Austin Hooper tomorrow. it's a possibility. And now I put up that tweet 2 days ago where it said, the Packers are going to pursue Austin Hooper. I had the Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah. And it's not that I'm dead set against it. I think he would definitely add, another pass catching weapon to the offense. There's no doubt about that. My only concern is how the bidding war unfolds and the price involved. I tend to think he's going to get paid on the open market, and I would rather allocate those dollars elsewhere. That's just me. That's just a personal opinion. We'll see what Gutekunst does in regards to Hooper. The CBA passed. Are you surprised? Travis, not really. I think the owners did a very good job targeting the rank and file. That's always the playbook, and they did a really good job in two senses. One, the raising of the floor salary-wise. That was always going to be tempting to guys who may not even know if they're going to be in the league next year or 2 years from now. And two, the timing of presenting it to the players and getting in front of players while they weren't in session. Don't forget, last time around the last time they had a CBA in front of the players, it was voted on during training camp. So all the teams were able to organize and be inside locker rooms and get guys, in front of their representatives, etc. This time around, hundreds of players didn't even vote. And I think the owners were really smart in how they did it. And even with all of that, it still was close. It still was a very close call. So not terribly surprised. I think it's a big win for ownership. I mean, they just locked in the players for less than 50% revenue for 10 years. And they're about to turn around with an extra game starting in 2021, expanded playoffs starting this year. They're going to sell that to the broadcast partners, to the media partners, to the online partners, and they're going to grow the pie. And there's no doubt the players are going to reap those benefits. No question about it. The NFL has, a $25 billion goal in mind. They are currently roughly a $16 billion enterprise. They want to get to 25. The only way to do that is to expand the schedule and grow internationally. And I don't think the players got nearly enough of a trade-off. But it's done now. I'll see you in 10 years. Is Bulaga as good as gone? Adam, unless we hear breaking news in the next 8 hours, 10 hours? Yeah, probably. I can't imagine he hits the open market. You saw what the Colts just paid for a right tackle. I can't imagine that Bulaga doesn't hit the market and get some kind of deal that just is impossible for the Packers to match. Now, I don't doubt the Packers will say, please give us the chance to match something. And I do think Bulaga will give them that chance. I just think someone's going to pay way. And then I'm not going to say overpay because I think he's worth every penny. But I do think it's going to be way too rich for Gutekunst's blood. That's just my hunch. Jitsu, thanks so much for the super chat. Any reputable Packers books / authors that are a must read? I'm always trying to learn more. I might pick up the 100 Seasons DVD too. The 100 Seasons, if you don't have the app, download the app, the Packers app, and you can watch it there. You can watch it on Apple TV. What's the other one? Amazon, the Fire Stick, things like that. Or you can buy the DVD set. As far as reputable Packers thing, my computer is sitting on 2 books right now. Green Bay, A City and Its Team is a really good book, even though some of the information is outdated / has been corrected since the publication. It's still a beautiful coffee table book with tons of great old school pictures of Green Bay. In fact, here, hold on a second. Let me grab you a couple of books from my bookshelf here that you should be aware of and that you should have. There we go. Any more? All right. Some riveting content, I know. But I want to get all these in front of you guys. Here you go. All right. Here's a bunch. The Lombardi Legacy. This is a good book. Check that out. I think I got it signed. Yeah, Dave Robinson signed it when Corey and I met him at Kettle of Fish. All those years ago, we did a Packer transplants at Kettle of Fish eons ago, but this is a really great inside look at Lombardi years. Bob McGinn's Super Bowl book. It's indispensable. You have to have it. And here's a fun fact for all of you guys that know the history between Bob and I. Obviously, things didn't go great when I was on the beat, but here's how he inscribed it. To Aaron, a hardcore football book for a hardcore football guy. Hope you love it. All the best, Bob McGinn. Thanks, Bob. But it is a great book. I highly recommend it. Everybody's probably got this, but you should all read it. Instant Replay, Jerry Kramer. Fantastic stuff. If you can find it, Quarterbacking, Bart Starr's book on playing the position. This is a relic of a bygone age. It's good stuff. This book is awesome. Favre. Comes with a DVD. It's got great highlights. Highly recommended. Another Bart Starr book about Bart this time. America's Quarterback. Check that out. These are my two favorites I say for last. It's Ron Wolf's book, The Packer Way. Cannot recommend this book enough. Not just for Packer stuff, not just for how Ron built the Packers into a perennial powerhouse after they had been a laughingstock for decades, but just anybody in any kind of leadership position, anybody with any kind of interest in being a boss in any way, shape, or form needs to read this book. It is gold. And then finally, the granddaddy, the grand poobah, the Bible for every Packers fan, When Pride Still Mattered. This book is amazing. It is not only one of the great sports biographies, it is one of the best biographies you will ever read. There you go. Those are my recommendations. Roger Goodell is the worst thing to happen in the NFL and league history. Not so sure I agree with you there, buddy. He's grown the game and made him a whole lot of money. And whether you like additional games, Thursday Night Football, etc., he's given us a whole lot more football. Now, his trade-off has been that, the quality of the game has certainly lessened, but there's still a lot more of it. Rick, if they will sign a wideout in free agency, whoa, things are going too fast. Sign a wideout in free agency. Who would you like? Do you think Speedy Taylor Gabriel is an option? I do think he is an option, and he'd probably be the guy I'd prefer. I definitely would prefer him over Anderson out of New York, but we'll see. With a draft class this deep at wide receiver, I'd be surprised if they spent significant money in free agency, but we'll see. Austin, thanks so much for the super chat. I know it's been brought up before, but I'm hearing rumors about Hooper. I like Sternberger, but all things considered, I think that would be a dang good 2 tight end set. Top 5 best in NFL potentially. Oh, whoa. Top 5 is, that's getting up there. It's a bit bold for my taste, but I will say I love the idea of the two of them playing together. I don't think the drop off, if it's Hooper and Sternberger and probably Mercedes Lewis, or Sternberger and Tanyan and probably Mercedes Lewis, I'd much rather go the second route and save that money to pay other guys. That's just me. I do think Hooper would be a nice addition. I just don't know about paying. Ben, thanks so much for the super chat. Hey, Nags, what do you think Green Bay will do with Lindsley/Taylor in the coming days? I really love Lindsley and what he does for us, but we are in need of cap. I don't think they're going to touch Lindsley. I've seen people speculating about possibly cutting him and saving the money. I doubt they go that route. I do think Lane Taylor could be a cap casualty here in the next day or so. If they were going to make that move, though, and or one of those moves, I would have thought they would have done it by now. Now, maybe they were waiting on the league year being finalized and given the go-ahead that, yes, free agency will start on Wednesday. Maybe they make that move now, and that's what they've been waiting for. But if of those two, I think Taylor is a much more likely possibility than Corey Lindsley. Nicholas, thanks for the super chat. Would Kirksey make us faster, and can he cover? Yeah, I think he can. I think he's a good player. You always got to be cautious with a guy coming off pretty significant injuries the last 2 years. I think he's played 9 games out of the last possible 18. Or, I'm sorry, more than that. Last 2 seasons worth, actually. Yeah, I mean, I think he could help them. It's certainly not something they want to count on. If they could get him on a 1-year prove-it deal, I think that's the popular thing to say at the moment, which makes all the sense in the world for the team, but I'm not so sure he'd sign up for that unless, he can't get anything else anywhere else. But we'll see. We should draft a tight end. There's some good ones in the draft. They just drafted a tight end last year, but I agree. There are some nice ones. There's some opportunities there. I think a lot of it depends on how the board falls. I mean, everyone wants to go to the draft and treat it like they are, putting out their shopping list. We've got to get a wide receiver, a tight end, and an offensive tackle. But it doesn't always fall that way. You don't want to reach for things. That's how you get bad. They may end up, maybe they take a running back earlier than anyone expects just because the value is there. It's all these things are so fluid during the draft. You can't and I know that's not what you're doing. You can't put a stamp on it and say they have to do this. Well, yeah, but they don't want to reach for it. You don't want to have bad drafts because of it. I assume the Packers will get a third-round comp pick for Bulaga. What are the players we can't afford to sign to hold on to that pick? Well, Rick, you're jumping through a lot of hoops there. Not necessarily a third. I mean, we got to see the contract and how much he plays. And I don't think Brian would ever hold off on signing someone because it would hurt their comp pick. Don't forget, they just went through this season now, this draft they're coming up with no comp picks because of all the activity from last season. So I don't think there's anything they're going to shy away from. I mean, if they wanted to go we got to do this so we don't end up losing a comp pick, probably any of the frontline signings that you've heard all about in the media, whether it's Littleton, Robbie Anderson, etc., those big ticket items, strike those off the board if that's what you're looking to do. Mark, thanks so much for the super chat. Will Gutekunst have a specific type of wide receiver he wants in the draft, or is the wide receiver class so deep that it's just best available regardless of type? That's a really good question, Mark, and it's something I'm interested in finding out because of the fact that it's so uniquely talented this year and so deep, as you allude to here. He's generally, so far, now we don't have a whole lot to go on, but so far he's kind of adhered to what Ted Thompson and Ron Wolf and everybody in Green Bay has kind of trumpeted since Ron Wolf came on board, which is we want big guys who can run in the West Coast offense. They can do yards after the catch. When the weather turns, and this is always the big thing they talk about, when the weather turns in November and December, they want big muscular guys who can, work through linebackers and work over the middle and give them some yards after the catch. Well, they just went through a season with guys like Geronimo Allison and Jake Kumaro, who certainly fit the physical bill, but didn't have the skill and talent to do much with it. I do wonder if Gutekunst would possibly, I'm going to say make an exception, but maybe deviate from form a little bit if there's a dynamic presence available to him at 30. Now, I don't know who that might be, but I am interested to see if he finally brings in some quick twitch athleticism / speed that really has never been part of the game plan on the personnel side when it comes to acquiring wide receivers in Green Bay, at least since the early 90s. By the way, that's an excellent question. Austin, thanks so much for the super chat. Thank God and St. Lombardi that NFL free agency is still on, something sports related to still look forward to. Hopefully we still have the draft too. Austin could not agree more. As I said at the top, I'll be surprised if they have the physical draft. Simply the CDC putting out, I want to say suggestions, but I think it's a little bit more than that. No gatherings of more than 50 people for the time being for the next 8 weeks, and the draft is in 6 weeks. There's zero doubt that they're going to have to change what they're doing event-wise, if not just completely, strike the event. I do think they'll have the draft April 23rd. I just don't know what kind of form it's going to take yet. Ben, thanks for the super chat. Randall Cobb reunion? I see you're laughing, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. I do doubt it. I do doubt that happens, but you never know. We've seen guys come back to Green Bay before. Ted Thompson never shied away from that. Gutekunst has certainly shown some tendencies like Ted Thompson. So who knows? Maybe that's one of them. I doubt it, though. I very much doubt it. I do think both sides wanted a clean break and they were ready to move on. But never say never. You never know. Whoa, hey, Anton. Caps and lots of question marks. Bulaga or draft? I got to think draft. I can't imagine they pay him. I just think he's going to make so much money in the open market. He knows that. Maybe the Packers say, give us the chance to match. But I think some team is going to pay him a whole lot of money and the Packers can't match. And I do think they'll probably target a tackle in the draft. And that's not necessarily to say that's going to be someone who's going to come in right away and start. Who knows what they do there? Maybe they kick Billy Turner out. I don't love that idea, but it's a possibility. We'll see. Frank, thanks so much for the super chat. I noticed a lot last year the Packers ran a lot of hybrid nickel with one inside linebacker. Is that a product of design or necessity due to the lack of talent at inside linebacker? Frank, that's a great question. It's something we were chatting about on Twitter a couple days ago. Myself, Ben Fennell, Peter Bukowski. I tend to side with the idea that he had a distinct lack of talent, and that is why it was so heavy. In fact, I was just reading, if you get the chance to pick this up, the SIS Football Rookie Handbook, they have a great breakdown on the teams and their tendencies and their usage, personnel-wise and scheme-wise, etc. But there was a great breakdown, a great note I saw. Let me get it for you guys here. About Patton's use of defensive backs comparative to the rest of the league. Here it is. So they were in base 19% of the time, nickel 28% of the time. They were in dime 52% of the time. That is tops in the NFL. Number one. 52. Over half the time they were in dime personnel. I tend to think that's because he didn't love his options past Blake Martinez. Now, we saw B.J. Goodson play quite a little bit. Oren Burks really couldn't get on the field. But we're talking Oren Burks and B.J. Goodson. Would you want them out there in lieu of maybe a Chandon Sullivan or a Ibrahim Campbell or a Raven Green at the start of the year? And that's the other thing. I think the Raven Green injury really messed them up because Raven was really good at the start of the year. Those first 2.5 games before he got injured, I thought he played really well. And I think the defense really changed, and you saw them kind of get exposed once Raven went out. Because I think a lot of what they designed in camp in the offseason was predicated upon that 3 safety look that featured Raven Green. And once Raven went out and they didn't have Ibrahim Campbell because he was on PUP, they were kind of left scrambling because they didn't love their options at inside backer. So I do think that played more into it than, I just love using defensive backs. But I do think he likes using defensive backs. I think it's a combination, but more towards the idea that he didn't really have a lot to work with inside. John, thanks so much for the super chat. Draft Murray and sign a linebacker. Giddy up, sign me up. If they sign Kitkowski from the Bears and draft Murray, inside backer is solved. I'm telling you right now, that solves it. Now, a lot of dominoes got to fall for that to happen. I doubt Murray even is available at 30, but if that happens, I'm on board. I love it. Dime 52% of the time, and Josh Jackson still can't get on the field. Kumquat Savage, you got something right there. I will be very interested to see if Josh Jackson is still a member of the Green Bay Packers after draft weekend. What kind of beer is that, Steven? It's a cold, wet one. Beer. Notice how there's no label here? If you would like your beer, your favorite beer, to appear here on Cheesehead TV, possibly be a sponsor for Extra Cheese, please let them know that this space is available. Nags, why do the Packers devalue inside linebacker and wide receiver? I don't think they devalue wide receiver at all. I think they did just kind of get caught up in a bad spot after letting Jordy go, allowing Randall to walk. They just didn't have the replacements that they had hoped. The guys that they wanted to develop didn't. And sometimes you get caught like that. You can't plug every hole every offseason. Obviously, last year, Gutekunst did everything he could to improve the defensive side of the ball. He's got to do a lot more on the offensive side. There's no question there. Now, all that said, I agree that inside backer has been devalued, whether it's Gutekunst, Thompson, what have you. I do think it is kind of funny how people talk about devaluing inside backer, and I do think they have. But they took an inside backer top 10 when they took A.J. Hawk. That was Ted Thompson. That was a long time ago. But it's not like they've completely said, we're going to punt on the position. I do think when given the opportunity to utilize, whether draft capital or free agency dollars elsewhere, they will. And it's weird to me because I do think, John Madden always used to talk about the best defenses are strong up the middle, nose tackle, inside backer, and safety. The best defenses throughout time have kind of proven that again and again and again, regardless of era. regardless of rule changes, etc. So I don't know. It's a bit mystifying to me. Denzel Mims or bust. I hear overshadow. That's a good point. Hawk was a 4-3 linebacker out of the draft. That's a very good point. And they made him an inside backer when they went to a 3-4. Nags, how long are the New York City schools closed for? April 20th, I believe, is the initial estimate. It won't, they said at least until April 20th is what I saw earlier this afternoon. What makes Kwiatkowski an upgrade over Martinez? His physicality and his price tag. I do think he's a little bit better diagnosing things. I think he does a much better job in the wash, so to speak, when guys get up on him. Not necessarily saying he's better at disengaging blocks, like say a center or a guard gets up on him. I do think he does a better job of avoiding that stuff. And then price tag, like I said. Martinez is going to go get paid big time because of his production, and good for him. He should. This is going to be a much cheaper option. And to my eyes, and this is just me, a little bit more physical, a little sounder presence, not that much of a drop off in coverage, which I know is not tough, but it makes a world of sense to me. Do the Packers have more cap space after the CBA signed? Lorenzo, actually, no. Actually, it doesn't have much to do with the CBA. The cap number came in today, I believe 198, which is about $5 million less than teams were expecting. So, no more cap space. Ooh, that's a great question. Better quarterback coach under Holmgren, Mooch or Reed? I'll probably go Andy Reid, but I love them both. I know they were both great friends with Brett. I don't know. I would love to hear Brett answer that question. I mean, maybe he has, and I just missed it, but I would love to hear his answer to that. I'm super excited for Gary's sophomore season. So am I. Man, and I know most Packers fans get it, but man, the people who don't are so vocal about not getting it. Yes, 12th overall, you wanted a lot more production. I get it, but he did sit behind the most productive tandem in the league. It is on the coaches to get him on the field and let him play. Because here's the other thing. When he does play, when he did get on the field, he played well. He just needs to play more to develop and get better. This is not rocket science. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with me here on a Sunday night. 285 lost souls, looking to talk some Packers. But hey, the good news is free agency is on. We'll start to see deals get put together and announced and reported starting at noon tomorrow. Hey, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we're devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. And if you want to support what we do, please consider giving us $5 a month on our Patreon, patreon.com/cheeseheadtv. Get exclusive access to my podcast. You get everything we do here on the video side. You'll get exclusive early access to the draft guide, which is still available for pre-order if you'd like to go to the website and pre-order that. And hey, you can challenge me to a game of Madden, which, given current circumstances, I'm going to be around a lot more playing some Madden. So if you want to challenge me, get on Patreon, challenge me to a game of Madden. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night.